Hey, welcome back. I just got out of Furious 7, the latest in the Fast and Furious series. Now, it's always been my philosophy that before you start talking about a new installment in a previously existing series, it's important to establish where you stand on the previous movies. So before we talk about Furious 7, let's real quick just recap how I feel about the other Fast and Furious movies. That wasn't half bad, actually. Well, that sucked. Was that guy's name Han Solo? Seriously, why is his name Han Solo? Wow, not even Dwayne Johnson could save that. To sum up, basically, I thought the first one was an actual movie. It actually doled out its plot fairly well. It was a little predictable, but the characters were just interesting enough that you wanted to see what happened next. The acting was decent, the writing was solid. It was a decent movie. It was not my kind of movie, but for what it was, I actually appreciated it. And then it just kind of went downhill as they went on. The most recent one, the sixth one, was what I was hoping would be the sort of self-aware Cabin in the Woods version of, or equivalent to these kinds of movies. I was hoping it would be so over-the-top stupid and aware that it would actually kind of allow me to have fun, but it turned out to be so mind-numbingly boring that I honestly couldn't tell you a single thing that happens in the movie, except for a tank, and I only know that because I watched the trailer. Now obviously the subject matter on all of our minds is Paul Walker's unfortunate passing. I was never a huge fan of Paul Walker. There were some movies he was really good in, like Running Scared, and Joyride I thought was fine, and then there are some movies that he was shitty in, like Fool's Gold movie or whatever it was, where he was like a surfer dude, and most of these movies. So, I mean, I was never a huge fan of his, but I respected him just fine, because you know what? What I remember of him is you never saw him in the news for, like, a drug habit or drinking and driving. He never touched kids. He never hit anybody. In fact, a lot of the articles that came out when he passed away were talking about the circumstances of his death. Very few of them mentioned that he was on his way from a charity. He was very actively involved in giving back to the people. He seemed like a straight up dude, so it really does suck when someone, especially someone who, you know, gets into the business, the Hollywood business, for someone to still stay that humble, and when they get taken away, it is still really unfortunate. Even if I personally, professionally, am not a big fan of his, it doesn't mean that I'm going to pull punches with this movie. Luckily, I don't have to pull very many punches, because, honestly, I really enjoyed it for what it was. This was what I wanted Furious 6, or whatever the f*** it was called. This is what I wanted that movie to be. It starts out pretty much exactly what you think it's going to be. Very, like, too grit, too serious. Snap zooms of cars revving and engines and girls' asses, because apparently that's all the only part about them that's important. But as it starts to go along, it starts to loosen up a little bit, and it gradually starts to turn into a much more over-the-top, just balls-to-the-wall kind of action movie that you can kind of appreciate a little bit more, because they just don't care anymore. Because it's basically a cartoon. It's basically Speed Racer. And actually, before we drift too far away from the Paul Walker topic, I want to address that if you didn't know any better watching this movie, you would swear that they finished all of his scenes. I don't know who the hell they got to edit this movie, but they did a damn good job. You almost never think to yourself like, oh, is that a body double? You just kind of accept it and move on. And that's masterful. Also, going into the movie, I knew that Jason Statham was in it, and that's actually what kind of excited me about it, because I like the idea of the transporter intruding into the Fast and Furious movies and just basically hunting them down like an assassin. But also, I didn't know Tony Jaa was in the movie. He didn't play a huge role, but he did a really damn good job. For those of you that don't know, Tony Jaa is the Thai Jackie Chan. He did these incredible movies, Ong Bak and Tom Yum Goong, which he does all his own stunts. He lights his legs on fire and kicks people. He's absolutely amazing. And in this, he beats the shit out of Paul Walker, and you know what? He does a damn good job of it. Going back to Jason Statham, though, he was the only one that kind of was playing his role seriously, and considering that everyone else around him is being so over the top and all the events around him are so over the top, it honestly kind of added to the humor. He was kind of the straight guy to the punchline of the rest of the movie. And Jason Statham is a straight up star performer anyway. I've always enjoyed how he puts energy into his movies too, so. And I gotta say, like, it's actually pretty well directed. The action's all shot really well. I can at least tell what the hell is going on. Recently Taken 3 almost gave me fucking motion sickness because I couldn't, they just couldn't let a shot sit. They had to keep cutting back and forth all the time, like, it's in order to make it exciting, but it doesn't make it exciting, it makes it frenetic. But in this, the editors don't cut any of the action halfway through and jerk things around. They actually follow through with the action and let you see everything. And I'm not gonna pretend like this is like a legitimate, good, like, artful action movie like The Raid or John Wick or like Sin City or something like that, because it's not. The way they execute action is entertaining, right? That's what I'm praising here. And the director's approach to everything going on, you know, taking a semi-comedic approach with it, I appreciate that. It's not a good movie on paper. You cannot convince me for a second that this is supposed to be like a serious drama movie. Between loving someone back from the dead, regenerating cars, I'm not even kidding, their cars just magically get better between scenes. Military grade helicopters from other countries just feel like flying into US airspace and they don't get asked any questions or shot down at all. They can just move right in whenever they want, and 3 hours later, maybe the US military might intercept. Kurt Russell at one point shows up as like a CIA, FBI, something? They never explain what he is exactly. But he wears a suit and he's got sunglasses and he orders military people around, so I guess he's military something. Anyway, the military comes to Vin Diesel's character and says, "Oh, we need your help to track down this hacking computer that can find anybody anywhere. And only a bunch of car thieves and street racers can track it down." Wait, what? He even explains in like a scene or two later that they know exactly where this program is and the creator of the program is and where they're going to be moving to. So why do you need a bunch of like street racers from LA to do it? You've already got the tanks, you've already got the Humvees and all this other crap. Aircrafts, what? You don't need... But of course they go through with it anyway, and in so doing, they piss off this like military grade criminal who runs like a Middle Eastern version of a cartel. They don't explain anything. And then knowing that he's gonna be following them to finish them off and get his revenge, they lure him into LA, where there are thousands and thousands of innocent people that could get killed in the crossfire. Am I supposed to be rooting for these people? Because they're kind of horrible. The characters are flat, the writing is lazy, but you know what? The action is well done. You can actually see what's going on, and it's so over-the-top stupid, it might as well be an Asylum movie. And you know what? Considering how many movies have been a complete snore fest up until now, I would consider this an accomplishment. This is a win. So I walked away enjoying it just fine. Am I gonna watch it again? Hell no! I will never watch this movie ever again in my life. Going into it semi-pessimistic and coming out pleasantly surprised, that is the highest praise I will ever give a Fast and the Furious movie. So if you're, and of course, if you're a fan of the previous movies, by all means, like, there's no reason not to see this. If you're a Paul Walker fan, you've probably already seen it by this point. If you're even slightly curious about it, I don't know that I would venture to go see it, because again, it kind of depends on how much you enjoy or appreciate like self-awareness and parody. Because I mean, they're coming out with like a spoof version of this. I forgot what it's called, but they're making fun of how stupid these movies are. But now it's kind of pointless, because now Furious 7 already is kind of making fun of itself, so we don't really need this. And by the way, now that Paul Walker has passed on, good luck releasing your Fast and the Furious spoof movie and not looking like a bunch of evil assholes. I gotta give props too to the director, James Wan. This is his first time doing an action movie. And up till now, he's only done horror movies. He did Saw, he did Insidious, a bunch of other horror stuff, which actually kind of ties into our next review, maybe a little bit, a little bit, a little bit.